to run this whole PR machine. That's a lane for that. But I think deep down between those edges, she knew that Tory Lanez was guilty. Deep down. Okay? Now, we're going to bring on here, I would say, a journalist. And they all say, Megann, the reporter, how are you doing? Megann,
good, Wiley. How are you? I just wanted to check in I don't have a lot of time. It's Labor Day weekend. We all got to go. We all got to go celebrate. But I just want to say hi to your subscribers and let them know I'm on YouTube too. I'm starting my channel. So.
Well, you have already started your channel. Okay. You have already started your, and a lot of people have came out against you. Milagro, Gramz, and Armon Wiggins both have said you got them kicked out, reported them to the deputies to get them removed. Did you have something to do with that?
No, and I think that's been covered so many times. I did an interview with Darnell. It's your boy Darnell and some other. I've addressed it before, and I mean if we go back and look at what I've actually said about them getting kicked out, I mean, I don't know. The idea that I'm for it is contrary to my stated opinion, on the record about it, and I mean. Just objectively speaking, it was a little of an overreach by the court's part to do that. But I don't think they really had the people who were kicked out really fought it. I mean they didn't challenge it all or try to get them to really change their minds. So it to me it's kind of an example of the new issues that we get where YouTubers different new media is. Given media credentials, which, I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but then the court does an overreach that is kind of a bad precedent for other journalists. Just the idea that they can just kick somebody out for, I mean, yeah, they broke the rules by streaming or taking photos or something. But I mean, other people have broken the rules and not been punished as hard as they were. And it's not like it was in the courtroom either. I mean, it was out downstairs. So just the fact that they just kind of just let that happen and all they really did was just complain about it on YouTube. It's it's kind of a bad precedent for other journalists to have that. But I don't know. It is what it is, I think it's been addressed, Right, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting today is so many people on the documentary are just does the documentary say anything new? It's no. No, I mean, it's kind of over the case, it's over.
Because Armon and Milagro went on his radio station and they said that you kicked them out because you knew that they was going to be the star on the documentary and that you wanted all the spotlight, all the shine. You wanted it all and you wanted to dominate and you didn't want them to get no more credit, so you got them kicked out. Do you want to answer that piece that you wanted to be the only star in this documentary?
No, yeah, I mean it's not true. I mean they can say whatever they want, I mean in the end I think I kind of go back to what people said that if you don't like speech, in this country where we have freedom of speech, if you don't like what somebody says, the key isn't censorship or telling them that they shouldn't have said it. The key is more speech. You respond to speech you don't like with speech you do like. So if there's somebody covering the case one way or the other, it's the way to deal with that is not to try to silence them or get them kicked out or any kind of censorship like that, but just do your own coverage and just kind of let your work speak for itself kind of thing.
Because Armon and also celebrities, one particular celebrity, she said you were making fun of Armon Wiggins' outfit, that you couldn't stand to see a black man that had fashion. Why did you talk about Armon fashion instead of his reporting on the case? Because that was one critique that people were coming against you, Megann, about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing that I think I've addressed to death. And in the end, I'm sorry if it came across that way. I meant it as a genuine compliment to him, and I didn't mean it to start any kind of online drama or anything like that. So I'm sorry if it came across that way.
Mm-hmm. Because as a person, I've never seen people focus on the fashion, but out of your years of covering, how many black YouTubers you have seen get this much publicity on a trial? Have this been the first time you accounted to see that, black YouTubers?
There just hasn't been that much. Like, usually when I cover trials, there's like maybe a OC Register reporter or a Los Angeles Times reporter there, or maybe somebody from, like, if it's a Hollywood case, somebody from Hollywood Reporter or something. But we don't usually get the big crowds that we got for the Tory Lanez case. So it was kind of unusual under any circumstances to have that. But I think everybody has a place in the courtroom, and like I said, I think it's good to have all sides, and it's like the marketplace for coverage, and giving readers and viewers different options on where they get their information, I think is good. And you kind of let the readers decide, and I think people also appreciate different styles of reporting. Like, here's who the witness is, and here's what they said, but then also it's like, I understand, like, there's tea at the trial. There's tea going on at the trial, in the gallery and everything that's going on. I mean, you got to have the court reporters and you got to have the tea reporters. Like, I can respect that, it's like, in the whole idea of what they do, like entertainment reporting and gossip reporting. I mean, it's been going on forever. Like, I bet if we went back and like found like the early days of newspapers, you would have the same kind of thing where you could find like some snarky gossip like mixed in with the reporting. It's just like it's a tale as old as time. And it's like it's just.
I hear you, and that's also like the request I have. One particular that you were getting called out by Milagro Gramz. She said you were being deliberately coming against Tory lawyers, focusing on his lawyer going on vacation. The lawyer tried to start trashing you and said you are a criminal, that you're this and that. We're saying a bunch of things about you. What made you focus on that lawyer to go on a vacation? Is it bad for him to go on a vacation? Like, what was why did you decide to bring that point out?
It was more just a point of, where's this motion for bail and are we going to see one kind of thing? And, it was just a tweet too. I mean, I'm kind of from a standpoint of, it's a little new for me to be able to tweet something and then have all these blogs or website. And I don't say the word blog is like a demeaning term. I think people like use that term to like just, it's discredited, but they're websites, and they cover the hip hop industry, and they write numerous stories a day because obviously there's tons of interest in this. And I mean, that's where the coverage is. So it was new for me to see like entire articles written about like just a single tweet that I wrote. But I mean, in the end, it's right. He was in Italy and he wasn't prioritizing the motion for new bail because, I mean, he could have just said in his tweet that somebody else is doing it or I'm no longer on the case or something. But it sounds like he is still on the case. He uses the we when he talks about it. But I mean, when you see the motion for new bail, you can tell it wasn't prioritized by anyone, I don't think. But maybe they'll amend it. They originally scheduled the hearing for tomorrow, but they rescheduled it to the 14th. So maybe there'll be an amendment or something in the next week or so. I don't know.
Because Milagro and Armon, they both have called you a racist. I wanted for the nip this in the bud to my audience. Are you a racist?
I hope not. I mean, and that's the thing that, it's a touchy subject, I mean, I don't harbor any racist feelings, that kind of thing, but it's also like, I mean, race and bias is a lot more different than just overt racism and stuff. And like how we all deal with each other, I think we need to have like a big conversation about that. So no, I'm not a racist. Like but also I feel like people just think that like, oh, that person said they're not a racist, so they've never done anything racist or biased in their life ever. Like, you can't ever do that, where you're talking about like perceived biases and then just people being products of their environment. So
I'm glad you answered that question, because a lot of people was like, oh, she's a racist, all of this. I think that, and I was having this conversation with Roland Martin, he's a respected journalist. I think it was a perspective of journalists, traditional journalists, and this new form of media, like YouTuber. It was like a torn from that. Even Dennis Byron had a problem with YouTubers getting this clout. But Armon had an allegation. He said, you only got a YouTube channel because you saw the super chats that he was getting. He was bringing the fireworks to the trial, and that made you rush to get a YouTube channel. Is that true?
No, it was actually just seeing it all, and then Law and Crime is really active on YouTube, so we were getting involved with it through that. And then when I joined up with LA Magazine, there's a big push for YouTube on there because Ben, I might mispronounce his last name, but he does the Midas Touch Media channel. He's really big on YouTube, so he was he was trying to push me into YouTube, but I'm seeing all the responses here. It's like, I just feel like I'd like to go somewhere where we can have like a bigger conversation about like race relations and stuff. And I don't feel like the comments here is like a safe place to do it because no, I'm not a racist, but it's also like we all come from different environments. And it's like, how can our different backgrounds, it's like, how can we all work together to try to make a more harmful place? It's like, or people can just write each other off as racist and like, we'll never be able to like have a conversation about anything,
I hear you on that piece because like when I was brought up about Milagro, Gramz, and all of these things, and it didn't help you when Dennis Byron put out a rumor that some bloggers are going to get arrested because the media is getting harassed, and they instantly said you were getting harassed by Milagro, Gramz, and that you're pressing charge against Milagro, Gramz. So that narrative was out there. Did you see the narrative? I know you had to see it for yourself, but it came across my desk. That was the narrative that you were trying to get Milagro, Gramz arrested.
Yeah,
you were playing a Karen.
And, and that was the reason I decided to start going on YouTube more, because I was like, these people don't even really know me, and I don't feel like I'm really being harassed by anyone. I mean, there's a difference between, actual harassment and then just getting a lot of comments online that you can just block and they go away, or you can just turn off your phone completely and go outside. I mean, the real world is a lot bigger than the World Wide Web, because I think people behave differently on the internet and that kind of, I mean, I saw somebody at the trial where, or at the sentencing hearing, he introduced himself. He didn't say his name, but he's just said, "Oh, hi, it's good to meet you." And he's like, "I'm one of the ones who has criticized you on Twitter or has come at you on Twitter or something." And I just kind of laughed and said, "Oh, that's what it's for." Like, I mean, it's like you can't take it too seriously,
Right, because someone commented in the chat was talking about the way you look with your glasses, and you cussed them out, and you said your words, "Go fuck yourself." And
oh, really?
You were upset. It was towards the end of one of your videos. You were upset with the comment they were talking about the way you look, and that person was a big supporter of Milagro, Gramz, because she's calling you Four Eyes, like she is leading the charge. Do you feel like
it's elementary school, Four Eyes?
Okay. It is very elementary school. So do that bother you hearing that type of stuff, the way that you look there, knowing the facts that they're talking about your appearance?
Well, I actually have a conversation publishing soon with Jessica Reed Krause, House and Habit, who has a big presence on Instagram and Substack, where we talk about internet haters and just kind of the challenges of dealing with them. Because, I mean, of course, it's like anyone, nobody wants to be criticized, especially for something as like, frankly, petty as your appearance. And I'm from the journalism background of like being kind of siloed in legal newspapers where it's like paywall only lawyers can read. You're really not used to this kind of stuff. It feels very, very immature. And I've had a couple people be like, "Oh, you sound so snobby," but it's always a man who says that. But I mean, it's true. It's like all of a sudden I look at these people who are like flaming me in the, do people still say flame, internet flame? Back when I was on the internet, like in high school, it was like, "Oh, you just got flamed on the internet." Yeah. So all these people like flaming in the replies, and you click on their pages, and it's like a photo of cleavage is their profile picture or something. It's like, oh, am I supposed to take this seriously? Like, but
because that's what I have to say. When you said you're gonna talk about internet haters, do you think that Milagro, Gramz, and Armon Wiggins are internet haters? Let's start with Milagro first, because she can't stand your guts. Do you think she's an internet hater?
I haven't really like listened to their stuff enough to feel like I can give like a educated assessment of what they do. But like I said, like what they do has been going on forever. Like there's news at the trial, but there's tea at the trial. Like people want gossip and perspective and analysis, and I think there's room for that.
Absolutely, because Armon, he called me about a week ago. He said that you reached out to him. And he said, "Don't let her on your platform. She's trying to take the black audience." Is it true that you reached out to Armon Wiggins to do a show with him?
I did send him a message being like, oh, hey, we should do something on the sentencing if you want or something, because I mean, we've always kind of talked to him before. He didn't get back to me, but I mean, you know, of course I'm not trying to take anyone's audience. And if you look at my channel, what I'm doing, my big thing is, I mean, I want to get the lawyers involved on YouTube. And I mean, the legal crowd, Ken White, Popat, I just did a live with him about Michael Avenatti, and talking to him was a good reminder that like a lot of people have left Twitter. Like Twitter has really, really changed in the last like year, especially, but with Elon Musk taking over, it's kind of become a real sewer. And Ken White, who was really, he's a lawyer in Los Angeles, but he was really instrumental in getting me established when I came out of the Daily Journal and was finally on Twitter and was covering like Michael Avenatti's case. He was always retweeting me. He left a while back, and she was on, and he's now on like Blue Sky. He has like 30,000 followers on Blue Sky. So, I mean, it was a big reminder talking to Ken that I really do need to get out of Twitter, because Elon did that thing where he's going to pay you for ad revenue and to try to incite people to, but it's not, I mean, it's not enough to, right, is the way to go.
Because like, when Armon had this conversation that you wanted on the show, he was saying that you're trying to steal his audience. I find it quite weird of why would you reach out to him when he clearly felt that you were his ops, that you were against him, that you were stealing from him. You understand why he said no or did not respond? Because he went out on stage, he said what he said. He said it to me privately on the phone. They felt like you were trying to steal from Black culture.
Yeah, I mean that, you know, I'm sorry he feels that way, because I that's not my intention, and I also don't think that his audience is gonna like just go running to me. You know, I'm talking about like nerdy stuff. I've got some, you know, lawyers talking about Michael Avenatti. We're getting to the court documents and stuff, and he's got the tea and the dirt on, you know, Tasha K and Cardi B, and he's opining on it, and it's just a totally different style of like of what we're doing. So I mean the idea that I would be trying to take his audience, I think it's just a little limited to what I actually want to do in terms of like mainstream legal news.
Right, because when you teamed up with Neek at Night, and a lot of people were talking about Neek, and they were calling her, she was working with the slave master granddaughter, and they start dragging her. So, but you and your relationship with Neek is different. You tell her about cases, she covered cases, and you all pretty much like Neek because y'all feel like she can really become a journalist like how you all are, because she's not so making insults like Armon and Milagro, because so many people respect her when y'all are together because they say, oh, she's not one of the messier ones. Do you come to that conclusion when you get that vibe for Neek? Because out of all the YouTubers, you embraced her.
I mean, I just think she's cool, and I like talking to her, and I consider her a friend. I mean, it's just like a personality thing kind of thing. I mean, I talked to her at the trial, and then she got the I was getting a lot of tweets about it the day that she got the evidence and was doing the YouTube live. But then I think it was, I saw her at a day for the sentencing, or it was like one day in January where there wasn't the sentencing, and just like said hi to her and mentioned the OMG Girls trial. And she was really interested in that. And, you know, not everybody would be, but she actually like went to court, you know, every day for it and watched the entire trial. And it wasn't in LA, it was in Santa Ana. So like we went to lunch a few times and talked about it then. So I'm like, not everything is just like this zero sum game of like journalism dominance. Like it's like I'm a person who like, you know, maybe has like friends and people that I like talk to and hang out with, and not everything is just about work and getting more followers. Like,
right, because I'm assuming that you have more Black fans other than Nick in your personal life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to just like start getting into. I don't know. It just feels like a little personal, you know. But also, I mean, just being honest, you know, I mean, I grew up in Corvallis, Oregon, and then I lived in Spokane, Washington, and the Northwest is a pretty white place. Like, and being out of like a big metro city area, you know, it's just it was a pretty white existence. So Southern California is definitely like the most diversity that I've lived around for.
So you do have Black friends. in your person.
Yeah,
Where you hang out. You have.
I don't know. I guess I just think it's like such a simple thing. Yeah.
I don't think it's simple. I think that it's a part of your character. If you're trying to infiltrate a space, shouldn't you have black friends? If you're trying to talk about black culture,
I don't feel like I'm like trying to infiltrate a space though. I mean, I'm just covering court.
Okay. And it's just so happened that you're getting known as Megann, a reporter with a black topic here. This is black subject. Tory black, Megann, the Stallion black. And the blogs have called. And I understand the frustration that my colleagues, Milagro, Gramz, and Armon is getting. The black blogs have put you on this pedestal and just annoying black people. And they just put you as the pedestal. And you're getting the smoke. Now, I understand it. I feel like you should not be getting the hits. You should get a little tap. The hit should go to the Shade Room, Ball Alert, Neighborhood Talk, all BT, all of these black publications or black targeted publications, because they put you on the forefront, and annoy black people like Armon Wiggins and Milagro Gramz. Because let's be clear, they were so known, especially Milagro, covering this and going viral. She had Tory Lanez's father on her show before you even came into the picture. So I felt like black bloggers ran with you, but that's in the culture. I mean, a lot of black people.
Part of the reason they would do that though is just the medium. Like I post a tweet and it's like, here's who the witness was, here's his name, here's what he said, and it's like just a really easy tweet for them to like take and do a story on. Like all the information is just like right there, so it's just kind of like ready made for like repackaging as a story, whereas watching like a YouTube live video or something would be a lot more effort to like, you know, type down what they're saying to try to make an article out of it or something, because they're just trying to get something out real quick and get it up. But, you know, I also, and I've talked about this before, that I think my background, and that's why I don't think this is like, I mean, I definitely see the race issues for sure in the case, but it was never about me kind of, you know, invading in any kind of cultural thing, because it was just a case going on in the courthouse. We had Harvey Weinstein, we had Danny Masterson going on, and then this trial was going on up 6 floors up, so it was just a case to cover, and people wanted information on it. And I actually went back and looked at some earlier tweets, because it took a couple days for it to like really start going viral. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday of the trial that things started picking up. But I mean, I've never wanted to be like just the hip hop culture reporter. I mean, obviously, if there's like a hip hop person who has a case in Los Angeles, like A$AP Rocky, I guess, is charged with something. There's nothing going on with it right now, but there's eventually going to be something going on with it. So, because that's a LA case, of course I'll cover that. Like, same James from the LA Times is watching that too, because he covers that courthouse. But I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth, honestly, about what exactly I should be covering.
Because I love that, because you know, James did defend you from LA Times because he was upset that you were getting attacked. And he came out and said, we cover so many trials before Tory Lanez, and they were just giving it to you. And he really came out to do that. Did you thank him for making that public post?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, James is a good guy. But honestly, like, I still am, and I think he is too, taken aback by how much attention that stuff gets. Like my reply to him that was like, "Oh, I wish he'd spelled my name right," or something like that. I did not write that thinking that it was going to become like a headline, you know. Okay. But I think it's just like a different world for us, like the stan culture, this obsessive celebrity culture, because I've really gone back and forth on like, what is my identity as Megann the reporter? Like, what do I cover? And obviously it's LA stuff, LA cases, big trials in LA. The federal courthouse always has something going on. I covered Smokey Robinson's trial that flew like way under the radar. It was just me and a Law 360 reporter. It was actually Smokey Robinson was sued by a former manager, ordered to pay $2,000, which was overall a big win for him. But he and I did, not Smokey, but the Law 360 reporter and I did a live where we talked about the trial, because we were the only 2 reporters in the courtroom. And at some points, we were the only people in the courtroom at all. So I feel like trials like that are perfect. I mean, it's a celebrity, it's a federal case in LA, but then there's other stuff like the defendants aren't famous, like Mark Ridley Thomas is a politician in LA who was just sentenced, and that was a really big one. Like there's a lot of LA corruption cases that are kind of my bread and butter. But then, I mean, I have this big like audience from the hip hop crowd that's interested in these cases, and I'm always getting like replies on different cases, like the Jonathan Majors case. Oh, we need Megann the reporter on this case, and it's like, what do I do with this? You know, I don't want to just bounce around to all these cases, but how it started. I'm doing a live on Tuesday on tomorrow on a couple of cases that aren't in LA, but I saw, just as my own personal edification as a reader, I saw an article on a judge dismissing a lawsuit against Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion over the WAP and the Dot Shit lyrics, saying that it was a copyright lawsuit, and the judge dismissed it. And I'm like looking at the article and I'm like, okay, why am I bored? Like, this sounds like a hilarious ruling. I mean, a federal judge had to like weigh into this and like decide it, but the way they write it up, it's so boring. So I bring up the ruling myself, and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, I mean, if you just read through it, there's all these great lines in there. So, but I kind of went back and forth. I'm like, this is just great for Twitter. I'm like, I could have done a story on it and actually sent it out to my mailing list, but it frankly just would have been a lot of work. And I just kind of went back and forth on like what I should do with it. But I'm kind of wondering if the future of my website and my reporting is just reporting celebrity news like that, not just hip hop news, but all celebrity news. You know, if Taylor Swift is being sued, the Swiftie ticket thing that's going on in LA federal court, I'll have to cover that. But that's why I decided to do the live on this judge's ruling, because I think it would be fun to kind of go through the court ruling and then bring up the motion and just kind of show how the lawsuit happened. Because one other thing that is missed in all the coverage of that lawsuit against Megan and Cardi was what a bullshit lawsuit it was. I mean, a lot of lawsuits end up being kind of BS because they lost and stuff, but this was like objectively crazy from the very beginning. It's like, okay, this has no like merit to it whatsoever. Just the woman was representing herself pro se. But then I've gotten so many requests also in my mentions being like, hey, can you cover the Kenneth Petty case or something? There's a lawsuit against Nicki Minaj's husband in Eastern District of New York. And normally it's like, especially if it's in state court, no, but it's in federal court, so everything's right on Pacer, and I'm completely used to covering all this stuff. I mean, when I was at Law and Crime and law.com, I wasn't focused just on California. I would cover mostly California stuff, but I would also cover stuff all over. So I mean, lawsuits like that, especially when it's in federal court and all the documents are just right there, I'm like, what should I do with this? So especially when I'm getting a request from somebody to cover it in a reply, and the reply gets like 15 likes, it's like, okay, I think people are interested in this case. And frankly, writing articles takes a lot of time. So I don't really want to just write articles and send them out to my mailing list on these filings. But I'm like, if I can just go do a live and bring up the court documents and explain it to people, but then also because it's federal court, I want to show people how they can actually kind of just look at this stuff themselves. And some people don't want to, or they don't have time, but that's one thing that's missing from some of the coverage of especially the Petty case is that there's no these court documents are public. Like, they'll write about the ruling, but they won't actually give you the ruling to read yourself. So I'm like, maybe I can do a YouTube live that just explains.
I mean, you should. And then also too,
this reminds me, I got to screenshot these because Jessica and I we want to House and Habit want to do something, a recording where we get together and we read all the people just talking shit about us on the internet. But I want to ask you, because I love this one. Do you live with a lot of cats?
I feel like, but then also too, that's why you have to, like, I can blot it out because I've been doing this for a long time. It doesn't bother me because they're viewers, they talk. You know what I'm saying? And I've watched a lot of stand-up comedians. Like, you have to blot it out or you address it, because they're going to always say, especially because you're white in a predominantly black space. Black folks, we always find the comedic everything with comedy. If it's your eye, if you got crushed in your nose, Armon Wiggins has something leaking out his nose, they say he's a drug addict. This is what we do in this T space. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Milagro Gramz, they was talking about the way how she was looking. She was not dressed properly for court. They did a whole thread about that. So this is what we do. This is what makes us different. We talk about what we see. This is visual. I know you never dealt with that because they can't judge the way you look by what you type. But once you get on the screen, that's why Milagro Gramz, she have a difficulty going on camera because people say stuff to her, so she's on the thumbnail. This is why people just do. They don't want to come on camera. That take a lot of courage, especially the way how we looked. If you have a disability, if you have a cock eye, cross eye, foresight, or whatever, they're going to. Even if you think you're perfect, somebody can still find something that can get under your skin. I just had a person on my show. He had like a chipped tooth, and you can't tell him that he was good looking, but that one comment disrupted his entire spirit when the camera was on, and once the camera was off, it disrupted his entire spirit because people want to say something on your skin.
It's really horrible and mean-spirited of people who do that, and it's like I kind of come from an environment. I mean, if you're writing for the Daily Journal and going to all these law conferences, like people aren't commenting on other people's appearances. It's kind of just something you don't do. And look, the eye thing is actually new, especially in the last year. And I know it'll improve. It's not both eye. I mean, the people who are just pointing this out, I mean, it's just like, dude, what would your mother think about this? Oh, well, your mother would probably point it out too. That's how you were raised, to just focus on people's appearances, But it's my right eye, and it's because I'm so nearsighted that, and actually, if you look at pictures of me over the years, it hasn't always been like this. Like, I actually wore contact lenses in high school, but my eyesight got worse and worse and worse. And I was told when I was like 25 that I should consider some kind of surgery to like tighten the muscles or ligaments or whatever in my right eye, because this would eventually happen. But now that in the last year or so, when my right eye tries to correct, it's like so nearsighted when it's correcting, it pulls. So my other eye isn't doing that. My left eye isn't doing that, but my right eye is doing that. And it will improve a little bit if I get a better prescription. I need to get a better prescription, but it's just like, it's just kind of, and I talk about this with Jessica House and Habit in our interview that's dropping. Exactly. Who gives a shit? I mean, this person just says, who cares? I mean, the fact that I even shared all those details are just like, whatever, who cares? It's like,
for me, it doesn't bother me. It makes me different. Why would I want to fix my eye? Why would I want to do that? It's me, because we deal with a culture of people that are getting BBLs. They're just going under the knife. They're trying to be this perfect person. Listen, I'm happy how I look, and it's making me a stronger person. But when I first started, hey, it was worse because it wasn't on social media. So anything they want to say, they said in person. So I was bullied. So have you ever was bullied? Because you said this was the first time you ever heard this. Have you ever grew up bullied, or you grew up without people bullying?
I didn't really feel like I was bullied growing up at all. I mean, this is kind of like the first sign of it. But I think there is something to be said, though, about, I mean, if you look at like the traditional of like print journalists, like we make jokes about how bad our appearances are and how sloppy we are. And like there's like different memes out there showing like TV reporters versus print reporters, that kind of thing. But, I mean, we all could get out and get more exercise, that kind of thing. And it was the biggest, just especially the last like 8 or 10 months. It's like one thing I'm going to stop doing so much now that the trial's over is working all the time, because like, especially when you look back at like my Instagram before I was covering celebrity trials and before I was like allowed to use social media for work, I was going to all these national parks, and like I got kind of ripped and was like going like 2020 pandemic road trip, like go hike Half Dome kind of stuff in Yosemite kind of thing. And I want to get back into that. Like personally, that's my number one goal right now, is to not work as much as I have the last 10 months and start riding my bike every day like I was doing, and get back into that. So I don't know if that's a little too personal, but like I said, the whole question about whether I had black friends, I'm like, I don't want to just like, I just feel like I'm tokenizing people. It's like, oh, did you hear I gave you a shout out as my black friend? And like, what?
Well, yeah, but that's what media do. I mean, Fox News, they ask you questions about you growing up in the ghetto. Was you in a single parent home? You know how this thing go in media. It's a narrative that you want to paint to speak to your audience. So of course we would bring that question up. You're white, so the question they're gonna say, "Well, ask her, does she have any black friends? Ask her if she had fried chicken. Ask her, does she like watermelon?" They're gonna ask you these type of questions. Those questions are going to come up because I'm speaking to my choir, my audience. That's the questions that they want. It's no different if I was on Fox News. They would paint whatever picture they want to paint for me from where I'm from. So you know this. You're from your area. You know this working in media. You know media. Y'all are powerful. Y'all create narratives about people. Whether you want to do it or not, y'all do. So I see a lot of people in the chat. They have a lot to say about you, and a lot of them don't like you because of the way that you look. We will never be in a colorblind society. If so, it never have happened in my lifetime. So I don't think it would ever happen. We're going to always look at race. It is what it is. So I just have to bring it up because they're going to say, why didn't you bring it up? Would you do a show with Milagro, Gramz, and Armon Wiggins? Would you sit down and do a show with them, or use your privilege to talk to the courts to get them back in, to give them some legal advice, or talk to some of your lawyers that you know because you go to those legal conferences to help them? Because I think it would be iconic for you sitting with Milagro and Armon Wiggins. I think it would be iconic.
They've just been like, I mean, they haven't asked me for my help, and they've kind of been assholes about it. Like, yeah,
they have. They've been very mean and nasty about it because, but it is a way for them to get back in the court if they fight it. So it is a legal way they can do this. I know you can't.
Maybe it's frankly over now. Like he's got that bail hearing coming up on the 14th, but he's definitely not getting bail. And really after that, he is never going to be in court again unless for some really, really crazy, rare reason, the appellate court, like something does happen with his appeal. And then, years from now, he might be back in court. But all his appellate stuff is not going to be in court. Like we'll be able to watch it online. So there's really nothing left to do. I also be able to go to this hearing though. I talked about this with Dennis, like right after it happened, that I don't think there's really anything I can do for him. Like, I mean, the whole idea that the court likes me. Have you seen the way I tweet about them? They fucking hate me.
Yeah, they said it. They said they said that you have a relationship with the people in the court. You have the insight. That's the narrative that they say about that. I can understand it because you've been in the courtroom for years. Milagro and Armon, that was like one case. You have multiple years that you've been in that room, and you even broke down when you even said that the cameras used to be allowed inside the court hall.
Yeah,
and they changed that rule.
And it pisses me off to see that too. And it's just, and part of it's the death of institutional journalism. I mean, the ones that we can really blame that on is like the LA Times and ABC7 and the traditional media that just does not cover courts anymore and is kind of just laid over to the restrictions that they have in there. But I mean, but yeah, you used to, if you go back to YouTube, like the trial that I saw was the Twilight Zone trial, where they were filming the Twilight Zone movie, and there was actually an accident in the movie, and a little girl was killed and a guy was killed, two deaths. So they charged the filmmakers with manslaughter, and it was a really, really big, high-profile trial. It was actually in the same courtroom as the Tory Lanez trial. And when you go to YouTube, somebody took all the TV footage and laid it all out in order. So it's like 3 hours long. You can just go watch all the coverage of the trial. And yeah, they're like right in the hallway with like boom mics, like filming people as they walk into the courtroom. And then they've got cameras in court too. But one big difference is, though, it's not like it was being streamed 24/7, like the entire, you could just tune into Law and Crime Network and see it, because they just didn't have those kind of capabilities back then. So I think a lot of courts and a lot of judges are really weary of allowing that kind of access to it because of like the social media era that we all live in now, and the stan culture and the memes that pop up and that people make just focusing on like one person's expression in the trial or something.
Right. And then, it's a lot that goes on with those trials. Even the pandemic.
Sorry, I have a tendency. I kind of answer one part of a question, then I like forget what the next part of the question is. But it was if I'd ever do like a sit down, and I'm just not sure. Like we have such different like outlets, and especially right now, what we're covering. I mean, with the Tory Lanez trial being over, I'm not sure if there's another case that we're both going to overlap on for a while. But I don't know. The only thing that I've ever really said about Armon, like publicly, and this is like the very beginning how I started talking to him, is I think he's funny. He's a funny guy. And it's not just like the things that he says. It's like his timing, his expressions, his, you know, he's got the whole package. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he said that you're saying that sarcastically, trying to demean him, that he's just a funny looking dude.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry he feels that way, but also if he really feels that way, I don't know. I also think a lot of this stuff is just like, you know, it's drama and it's tea, and it keeps the people viewing when you're talking about this. But I don't know. And I mean, if we're going to talk about that documentary, the people that I'm just like, why are they in this documentary? And you can tell there's a couple, they weren't even in court. Like a couple of the people that they interviewed, I'm like, these people were not at the trial ever. And you know, it's the documentary makers having like, they feel like they have a gap in their narratives because they go and they interview everyone and they have everyone give sound bites, and then they go and kind of pick the ones that have the best sound bites. So they'll get these gaps, and that's when they basically go to like voice actors, like you see. They weren't actually at the trial, but they can talk really good, so they do that. Those are the people that, but I'm like, everyone has a voice, you know, the people who are,
because it's all about, it was very entertaining, but you did make the cut out of all of it. Milagro made the cut. Nick at Night, she only had a couple of minutes. And Tasha K was very clear, but she wasn't there. It's a great voice actor. She's a liar. She was sued.
You know, I haven't watched the whole thing. Honestly, and that's, I'm kind of with the people who are just like, is there anything new in this documentary? I mean, how long is that documentary? It's like,
it's a two-part. Part one.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours long. It's Labor Day weekend. I want to go outside. I don't.
Yeah, you're dominating both parts. Many people have said that you did better than Milagro Gramz. They felt that she was nervous. They felt that she ate a very heavy meal. And they felt like you was the star in both parts. That's what and they said Armon was the star in part one. They said part two you dominated.
Well, I'll eventually check it out. But the one thing I feel like if somebody's going to do like a documentary, like a real, and maybe I will if I write a book on this, is we got to hear from the jurors. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to actually hear from the juror. Like, here's their face and their name, and here you can go look up their address, kind of thing. They'd be anonymous, but I mean, we have never heard from the jurors on this, and that would be a coup of an interview to even get one of those jurors to
they did it for OJ. They did. I remember.
Yeah,
they did. It was that trial was everything, and that will be great. I don't think the jury wanted to speak because of the social media factor.
I think so too. But if it has to be presented in like a really professional way to them, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, because even if it was the harassment from Milagro Gramz, that machine is very powerful. It's a very misinformation, and it's a black woman leading the charge, and she speaks to thousands of people. That's what she does. And you're not on Station Head, but they accuse you of listening to Station Head show. Her Station Head, she accumulates thousands of people for 4 to 5 hours. So, and she goes on an attack about you. She calls me coon, Uncle Ruffus. She calls me everything under the sun.
And the thing is, like,
you great reporter. But go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. But the main thing in the YouTube live that I did with Ken the other day was kind of just a reminder of like, mainstream society doesn't take that stuff seriously. You know, like that kind of just profane, and it's one reminder that I've had because, you know, I grew up in a house where, you know, my dad used a lot of profanity, and I definitely like used profanity here and there. But working at the LA Daily Journal and just like covering lawyers and going to lawyer events, you kind of realize that like it's a little low class to say that. And it's just kind of like, so I was kind of at a point where I was like, I need to try to stop swearing so much. But for covering the Tory fucking Lanez trial, I'll swear all the time. Like,
yeah, I started swearing. There's nothing wrong with the swearings of how you do it, but this is the culture of that. And they say a lot of nasty words about you on Station here. They drag you. Some of her followers, we have the screenshot. They want to harass you, trying to find your address. And I don't know if you're aware of that. I'm there, and I go on the show, I say y'all shouldn't do that, and I get dogged. I'm called coon, house slave, whatever they call me, everything under the sun. All because you were right, you had the facts, and that you didn't paint this narrative that Megann was this conspiracy, that was Rock Nation, it was Megann trying to take down a black man. And ever since that you were getting the spotlight that was meant for Milagro, she's jealous and very envy of you that you got the spotlight that she worked very hard for.
You know, I don't know. I don't know, but I just think there's a lot of like a lot of speech to go around. Like I said, if there's speech that you don't like, the key that the answer isn't trying to suppress that speech, it's just more speech. So, you know, you can get a dialogue going. One thing I think when all that stuff was going on, because it took me a while to like realize, because it was after the trial, we were just waiting for the sentencing. I mean, the case was pretty much over. And it took me a while to realize that people were like viciously talking shit about me online. Like,
absolutely. Even I remember when you guys
like somebody, I think one of the shows that you did, you said something about, you know, I'd love to have her on the show. Somebody texted it to me and they said, whatever you do, don't ever go on his show. I'm like, well, I'm just going to go against that and see what happens.
Yeah, because that's what they do. But Armon, when you got the letter, and you didn't know about Mario, Armon said she didn't know nothing about this singer Mario, and he was upset that you got the publicity on the neighborhood talk instead of him. He was dragging you for that, saying that you're rushing to put out these receipts and following him. That's what he said. He was really coming
about which receipts?
With the letter, with the Mario letter, because he said you did the Iggy Azalea, you know about her because she was white, but you didn't know about Mario because you didn't know nothing about black culture, that he is very known in the black space.
Yeah. I mean, that was I saw that in the replies, and actually, Neek was the one, because it takes a while to like once you get the letters, you're up in LA. You scan them in, and I talked about this on a live. I mean, by the time you get back to my place to actually sit down and write a story, and it takes a couple hours to actually write a story. So she was going to do a live. So I just sent her the letter. And I think I sent her Mario's letters too. But no, I mean, I will totally admit that was a drawback when I was, especially the second letter story. I was like, are these people famous? I mean, the Iggy Azalea, like, but the second one with like, what was it? The story on, I mean, Stefflon Don, I've heard of her, but then there was other stuff. Who are the other guys mentioned in there? I mean, I wasn't sure. I'm like, who is like a big name in here and who's not? But honestly, from the replies that I saw in the story, is that not a lot of them are like currently really big. Was it Red? Was it? I don't know. One I looked up, I almost didn't have it mentioned in the story, but then when I looked up the record label, I'm like, well, it has its own Wikipedia page.
Yeah, Mario is very.
Oh no, not Mario, but the Red Cube guy.
Okay, because that's what the people because when I did a YouTube short, a reel on Mario of that letter that he wrote, got 145,000 views on Instagram, and that was you. They posted your version of the report on that letter, and Armon was upset about that. So, I'm glad that you brought it up and everything like that. And of course, I'm being dragged. Of course, people say don't come on Wiley Show, of course. But
one issue though is just the it's so much easier for somebody who's aggregating, like somebody whose job it is to write 4 stories a day on, hiphop.com or something, is going to write that up really quick. It's so much easier for them to just go to a written article that I have that they can recast real quick, rather than having to go to a YouTube video where someone talks about the letter. Because it's not written out. Like the article, like if Ramon had done like an article or something, he might have gotten like the hits on it. But it's just like it's not some. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, but a lot of it is just ease for the people who are aggregating this. It's like they have a lot of things to aggregate, and they want to aggregate fast. So of course they're going to go to the written article and not the video.
Right, because people say, well, he begged Megann Q. No, you reached out to me at 10:41 a.m. and you said, hey, Wiley, if you're going to be live for a while today, I could join you for a few minutes if you're interested. That was the only time that we have talked on there. And of course, I subscribe to your beautiful website because you have all the facts. You're not like Milagro. They just talk loud for 5 hours. You clear and precise. I can get the information. And I'm a happy paid subscriber on your site. So you reached out to me at 10:41 a.m. and we're now having this conversation.
Yeah, I just figured why not? I mean, and part of it, I mean, I'll just be transparent. I mean, part of it is, I'm starting a YouTube channel, and I'm not here to steal your subscribers. And I don't think somebody made clear, and a few people have made clear, they are not interested in anything I have to say. Like nobody, your audience and what you do is different than that. But it's a good idea if you're starting a channel to, go do other channels and just let people know that you exist.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm glad you're coming on. A lot of the YouTubers, like Milagro and Armon, especially Armon, they don't like to name drop other people. But as a respectable journalist, if you get something from Fox News, shouldn't you credit Fox News that Fox News said it?
Well, and that was a new thing for me, and it actually was introduced to me when I started covering the Cardi B trial when she was at the Santa Ana Federal Courthouse, and I got up really early and went to the courthouse and waited there really early so I could get a picture of her going in. And yeah, I mean, I didn't watermark it, and like looking back, I'm like, oh, I was so stupid and naive. Of course they stole it, but yeah, no, there's like a code amongst journalists and other media that you attribute it to other people, and that you don't want to just aggregate other people's stuff. You want to do your own reporting. But here it just seems like it's just
they would just steal it. Like here they would just completely steal what you worked hard for. But in mainstream, is CNN see something from Fox, they would say, well, Fox said this, they would play a clip. Here, if you don't watermark, they will steal it. And then some people, if you don't watermark correctly, they will put their watermark on top of your watermark.
Yeah, no,
this
exactly.
Is like the wild west of media of the system.
But I do kind of like the politics world. You'll see that there's a big Twitter world of, you know, all the Trump stuff, and the people who do that, like steal other people's information and try to put their stamp on a public document, they just look silly.
Very silly.
I need to remind myself, and reconnecting with Ken and then Lou Shapiro was a good idea. It's like this stan culture and celebrity obsession culture is seen as kind of silly by a lot of people outside of it.
Very, very, very to the point, because Milagro was team Nikki. Nikki got mad because Milagro trashed the husband, and she's upset about it because that stan culture is real. It's a lot of misinformation with that, because it's very dangerous, I would say.
Because I posted something, I did a YouTube for tomorrow morning where I'll go over the Megann Thee Stallion lawsuit, copyright lawsuit over WAP, the ruling on that. And then I figured I'd talk about the new ruling, new filings in the Kenneth Petty case. And of course, I've already had people being like, oh, you better be careful, you know, they're going to come after you. And it's like, oh, does that mean I'm going to get 100 nasty comments instead of 10? I mean, it's like the idea that this is like a huge problem in my life. And I've tried to say, like, mainstream society does not take this stuff seriously. I mean, Ken White is not going to be like, you know, look this up and see this stuff and be like, oh, well, I can never go on Megan's show again. You know, I can't take her seriously because, some fan club for a celebrity says that she wasn't fair. Yeah.
And I agree with that, with the whole stan culture. But thank you for coming on. I'll let everybody know about your website, because they can subscribe where they can get information about not just about Tory, but trials, period. Because I do want to give you credit. You were the first one to tell me about, Smokey Robinson. You did an interview with one of the former hosts of TMZ, and you said something about Smokey Robinson. And I didn't even know that happened. I learned that from you. And that would made me become a subscriber. I was like, oh my God, she's just not a plant. They called you an industry plant to take down Tory Lanez. You're actually a journalist that covered cases outside of Tory. So that one made me subscribe to your site.
Yeah, great. Thank you. It's www.legalaffairsandtrials.com. Can you believe that URL was just available? I just bought it for $12 on Google Domains. But I'm looking to cover major cases. We've got the Tom Girardi case coming up. He's the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Erica Jane. It's her old husband, and he was this thieving lawyer in LA forever, and he was really influential too. Like, everybody in the LA legal circles knows him or knows of him. So he'll be back in court on the 11th, and then tomorrow is John Eastman too, Trump lawyer. He's facing disbarment for the January 6th stuff. So his case is, his misconduct hearing is supposed to be back in LA tomorrow, and he wants to plead the 5th because he's charged in Georgia. And the judge has actually told him that he can't, because he has already testified in this. So she's saying that he waived his right to plead the 5th. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a zoo. So I've got a few things. I'm going to do that live tomorrow morning, but then by 10 or 10:30, the Eastman thing should be on. So I should be able to do that. And then I'm sure I'll have to like field some people who are like making clips of this interview to make me look bad or something. They're going to be posting that. No, I would just agree.
Yeah, I feel, but I'm interested in your career because, like I say, you've been doing it a while, and it's good that you're getting introduced to another demographic that typically probably wouldn't have came against your radar if you didn't cover this case. And so now you can continue to feed this newfound audience, and I think
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm kind of having like an identity crisis of like, what should I cover? Because I definitely have some old time readers who are like, we do not care about the Tory Lanez case. Like, but I've also have some old school readers. Like, a couple of federal prosecutors were telling me that they love reading the Tory Lanez stuff. Like, obviously, it's not anything that they're working on, but they love hearing about all the drama and just like how a celebrity case is handled. So, I mean, I think I need to cater to those people and not the haters. But I am just kind of going back and forth on the celebrity news. Like I said, the Megan Thee Stallion Cardi B ruling is in New York, and it's not a case I would really cover, but I just looked at the coverage. I'm like, this coverage sucks. Like, where's this ruling? This ruling's hilarious. You need to get so I think I just need to find, like somebody says here, feed both your audience. And like I said, you just need to find a happy way to cover the celebrity cases, but then also continue covering the big white collar crime cases and the federal cases that LA corruption is a big one. But the U.S. Attorney's Office in LA is kind of was my first big fan club, and they need to be fed with all their cases and stuff. So thank you to the person who says, follow your heart, Megan, you deliver great information. Thank you. I'm all paranoid about the people who are like, oh, she didn't have a good answer to the question about whether she's racist. I'm like, I'm not racist, but like, let's just have an eclectic conversation about race relations in this country, because I think it's really interesting, and I think that people get so defensive about it because nobody wants to be seen as racist, and we just lose it all, and we don't have a conversation about what's actually going on.
All right. Well, thank you. And how can they watch your YouTube channel? Because you are on YouTube.
Megann Cuniff. That's the name. I'm
Megann Cuniff. You guys on YouTube.
Yes. So check it out. Thanks so much.
You going live tomorrow morning because it's already up, like the live feed.
I've already got some haters in there too.
Oh my god!
Well, I love the person who just responded, "Shut up," because oh god, yeah. And it's just this. And that's one thing, because I am talking to a literary agent about like, what are some book ideas here? Like, what is the book on this case? And one is, it's like this rise of stan culture and the death of traditional media and the rise of stan culture, and like how that all meshes together.
Absolutely, and the rise of misinformation, because everybody come against Fox News and they say, "Oh my gosh, it's like and they were sued for billions because of the voter machine, right?" Yeah. But that exists on the blog space of misinformation. They would say, "Oh, Tory Lanez is going to walk around free." Even right now, Milagro said it's a recording that Kelsey did this. And she's trying to, I'm like, it's so much misinformation. They're going to put it in court. I'm like, you cannot present new evidence if you didn't present it due trial.
Yeah,
that's the power of misinformation, because you as a journalist, you look like the weird person. And Milagro, she's dropping it because she's dropping the quote.
And and part of it is on the court system for not having like a better online system. Like, if this was federal court, everything is just like at our fingertips. You have to pay for it, but it's there. But I mean, LA Superior Court, they just do that stuff that says like docket line entry, and it's like, okay, I don't think they expect people to think docket line entry means exonerating evidence that will free the defendant post-sentencing. But still, I mean, just the fact that they won't like do a more descriptive thing than that. And there's a little bit of irony in me doing this, but I wanted to highlight the comment that says I need to learn to ignore the comments, because it's true. It's like the biggest challenge that I'm dealing with in the whole YouTube social media environment, and really just being new to social media for work in the last 3 years. I mean, it was like end of 2020 March 2020 when I was really started using it. Is just like, yeah, what is responding to readers and what is responding to trolls? Because like somebody in here asked if they can ask questions, and I want to be like, sure, because I think that's kind of what it's for. But it's like, yeah, how do you respond, and how do you know, who do you respond to and who do you don't? That's probably the
absolutely, because I know a lot of people they could post your comments in a question in the comments. Be respectful. Because I've been doing this a long time, and it's the trolling has been on point. When you pick a side, especially when you pick a side, they come at you hard. I get dragged all the time. I remember it was a case with a lawyer. It was a white teacher, and they said she was a part of the Alabama thing, beating up the black folks. And to find out that did not happen, the school district said it happened, but I did the work and got the evidence. I was like a person against a black reporter, but they just lied and said this woman, she wasn't nowhere there. But that's the difference between a journalist and a YouTuber. A journalist actually go deeper than giving their opinion. They have sources in the police department. They got statements, blah, blah, blah. They got the data. A YouTuber like myself, sometimes we just talk about what's in our mind. Most of it is wrong. We don't have any facts. It's just an opinion. But you as a journalist, you get the facts, you get the court documents. But it seems like you are in the minority because the most people with the clout or the views are the people that give opinions. They are now being in the same box as media, and we're not. We are. Roland told me verbatim, you're not a journalist. You are a commentator. That's it. You're not a journalist. Yeah. And I'm not. I just give my opinion because I said he was a former CNN anchor, and he wasn't a CNN anchor, but a true journalist would know that. But
and I think that's one interesting thing to explore with what happened with the case, because the death of traditional journalism and courts journalism has almost kind of placed like an unfair expectation on some of the people who are just there to report the tea and gossip at the trial. It's like it's not their, it should be somebody else's role to report that.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think the information market has a tendency to like work it out itself, but absolutely. There is something to be said about just the death of like traditional reporting, and like where do you go to just get not just the facts about one case, but perspective from somebody who's covered a lot of different things. The stan culture is one new thing for that, where people absolutely. Are just so obsessed with like one case, and then they're never going to go to the court system ever again.
I remember it was a case right here in Chicago. It was a black woman. She was in getting a Polish sauce, getting food, and a black man hit her. And the media made it seem like she instructed her teenage son, to kill this man. And that wasn't the facts. But the media, respectfully, they put that narrative out, and they made it so like this mother instructed her son to do this. And then when all the facts came out that it was a self-defense, that the mother did not tell the son to do, he told the son to go outside. So this happens with mainstream. Sometimes they get it wrong, and then some, the blogs get it wrong. So that's why I said we always, even in the documentary, we just rush to judgment without the facts. And Megann, that's the court of public opinion. Oh, she's guilty. We didn't have all the facts. We just went on, we were guilty. But once all the facts came out, it's difficult to come to, because everybody got their mind made up to this day that Megann is a liar. She set a black man up, because the power of misinformation, the power of court, the power of court of public opinion is so powerful in the court of law. Because to this day, it's white people that still believe that OJ is guilty. He did it. So that existed then. So what do you think is why are we shocked that it's existing now with this Tory Lanez and Megann? You could ask some white families right now that lived during that time, OJ, he did it. But you got some black people, he didn't do it. Or you got some black people, he did do it, but I'm glad he got off, because they always come from black people. So that was like the narrative back in the 90s. So this is nothing different. Only thing different today than OJ is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all of the mental. But back in the day, it was just the media broadcasting OJ trial and on network television. So yeah, so it's good to have you on, because I can't wait to hear that about the social media haters, because that do need to be discussed. That needs to be.
I don't know. What do you think about it? It really is contrary to our overall plan to just ignore these people. But Jessica and I do think it would be hilarious to get together and read aloud all the shit people talk about us on.
Absolutely, you should definitely read it and put focus on that because, and most, like you said, most people that talk crap, they don't have their real pictures, their real names. They're just different. Just like racists, when these Trump, they don't have their real identity. They say all type of derogatory things, and then when you really track them down, they're middle class soccer moms. You wouldn't even think that they say all this, so you really don't know. So in this, it's the same thing. They say what they want to say, but you don't know how they look until somebody actually track them down. You be like, hey, it should be a show that somebody track down the trolls and bring their cameras. You said this on the internet, and you will be shocked at the people that do it. That's actually trolling.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Well, hey, thanks so much for
thank you.
And I'm glad you proved wrong the person who told me.
Oh yes, of
don't
course.
ever go on his show.
Of course, because this is what I do. I'm very good of having conversations, and I love it because I don't just talk about celebrity gossip or trial. I'm now talking about more trial because of you, because of your hard work, because it's a lane for that people need to dissect it. And I've always said that Black people should always be on the front row to cover Black stories because we cover it different. We come from a different perspective than you. We handle it different because we probably walked in the same shoes like Tory or Megann because we're Black. I can't cover a white story like you because your experience with white people are totally different than my experience. Okay. So thank you for coming on.
This is the kind of stuff that I was hoping to talk about, but I'm a little afraid to get into this stuff too much because I'm white. I don't want to, and the people in the comments are I'm just like, this isn't a safe environment to be talking about this.
There is no such thing as a safe environment when you're talking about race.
Exactly.
Oprah, she got dragged, and Oprah is Oprah. When she endorsed President Obama, they dragged her. And a lot of those middle-aged white people stopped watching. So how do you deliver it? I mean, there's been plenty shows that talk about race. When Miss Farrakhan go on the Breakfast Club, it's like no matter how we try to, no matter how nice you said it, when you're talking about race, there's just like talking about politics. The emotion's going to be high. Just like on the pandemic, wearing a mask. That was just, oh my gosh, you said wearing a mask. That's so evil.
One thing, and I'm reluctant to bring it up because I'm white and I just feel like I'm talking a little bit out of turn here. But one interesting thing and one undercovered thing that if I was to write a book about this, I would want to explore more. Judge Hereford is Black. And if you look at his background, I mean, Stanford for undergrad and law school. He went to he was at the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office for a few years and then opened his own law firm. How much racism and discrimination do you think that guy's faced in his life? He's probably a nerd too if he went to Stanford and is just like all into the law like he is. And I just think his perspective on this, I mean, well, in the end, he's the only person who can ever talk about anything like that. But I'm like, I wonder what his, I mean, I think he told us his perspective on this when he sentenced Lanez to 10 years in prison. But I just think his perspective on this would be interesting. But in the end, he's the only person.
But then also we have Clarence Thomas. He got in when the whole thing affirmative action. All his career was built on affirmative action. But then he was the leading voice to throw it out. They said, we don't need it anymore. So that could go both ways. And yes, he's Black, but many people argue, forgot where you come from. You know what I'm saying? So that conversation can go both ways because just because you are Black, and to some don't mean that you really are fighting for the Black perspective, for Black rights. There are plenty Black people that were used to destroy the Black culture. They used them as a prop. So that's just how it is. There's nothing that we can say differently. And then you also got some conservatives that love Clarence Thomas. There's Darling. But let's be clear. He replaced Mr. Marshall, Thurgood Marshall, and he is totally different than him, right? So that goes both ways when it goes to this stuff. But you would never change people's perspective when it comes about race. You would never do it. I mean, Jesus couldn't do it. So you can never change. People are going to pick their side, whether, like President Obama, he said it. He said, this is not a white America. This is not a Black America. This is the United States of America. That sounded good. But when he start taking on relations of race, if Trayvon Martin was my son. Trayvon would have been my son. He looks like my son. And then what did white America, oh, he would not be your son. He would have been at Harvard. He would have been here. He was a ruthless thug. You're not a thug. So it's always race. Yeah. Always. And the media love race. Why? Because it helps the ratings. That's why Democrats, they love to race. Republicans love it too. It keeps the people watching stuff when you're talking about race. It is what it is. If I do a show or a black reporter, they're not going to just say a reporter. They're going to say an African American or a black reporter. Why I just cannot be a reporter? Mm-hmm. Why is it when President Biden meets with black preachers, the media say, oh, he met with black preachers, but if he met with white preachers, oh, he met with preachers. So race, whether we think about it subconsciously, it exists. It just exists. I don't see it ever going away. It's going to always be here until we get it together, and we have not gotten it together yet. And we are in 2023.
Yeah. I think we've all got a lot of work to do, but just the fact that people can come together and have conversations like this, I think, is important.
Absolutely. That's how you're going to destroy it. Is us having conversation, and I don't know. That's not us just talking about it. We go into your home as a white woman, your family, and then we meeting up. That's how you break that spirit of division. The problem is we talking about it on the outside, but then behind closed doors, we're still segregated. Segregation is still real. I can go to a job and I just look, the whites eating with the whites. So I don't think they're doing it. You just go about what you're common with, because so that still exists until we start sitting at our dinner table, bringing our white, Latino, we just all just bringing it, but into it. I didn't start being around white people until I went to Chicago Military School, Chicago Military Academy in Bronzeville, and I finally was able to eat with white people, go to school with white people, because before that, it was all black on the south side, Inglewood. Yeah. So my perspective is different. Then when I was able to live with white people, when I moved from Chicago to Dallas, then I finally was able to live with white people. And I understand. I was like, oh, they're just like me, because I was just judging white people on what I see in movies, media, and during the civil rights era. And everybody don't live up to those stereotypes. There's some good people and there's some shitty people in all races. But I'm glad that I'm starting to start. But you have a group of people, they never was around white folks. They black, just like it's in white police officers. They never been around black people. Only time they became around black people is when they got a badge. So they never was around white people. So around black, some officers. So it always about your upbringing. If you raise around a different groups of people, it won't bother you as much versus a person that's never been around white or black people, whatever your race is. So it's gonna be difficult, Megan. You're coming in a game of black bloggers that at the seat and they feel like you're trying to take over their lunch, trying to steal their lunch because of your skin tone. And that's and Armon been leading that charge, so is Milagro Gramz, and they're both black. They're leading it to their audience. They say you're trying to steal once this episode is over, they're gonna go live and say that Megan is using Wiley and Wiley is jealous of Armon, so he's bringing this white woman to steal the audience. I can't steal something that I don't own. We don't own Google. I mean, you could create a Google child. I don't own it. I can't control who comes over here and not. So that's like a false narrative. But it's not going to stop them from talking about that once this broadcast is over. They're going to drag it.
Just seeing all the YouTube stuff is an inspiration. But like I said, the one that really inspired me was Ben Misalis and his Midas Touch Media. Because there was that short period after Law and Crime where I joined up with LA Magazine and was going to work for LA Mag. And they're the ones who, especially Ben, kind of helped me get set up on the YouTube and kind of coached me through it. And what I want to do is just a little bit different from the future of LA Magazine and what they want to do. So I ended up going independent, but I still talk to those guys all the time. And Ben especially is a good person to bounce YouTube ideas off of. And he's the one that's just kind of talked about numbers and engagement versus subscribers and that kind of thing. So there's a ton of potential on there. And then just talking with people like Ken White and Louis Shapiro. I want to have Louis on the show more. The big one tomorrow, I'm going to do the rundown on the ruling in the Megan Thee Stallion Cardi B copyright lawsuit, and then an update on that Petty case. And then Thursday, the big thing is Danny Masterson's sentencing, that 70s show actor. His lawyers, I think, are really just preparing for the appeal. I still haven't even seen a motion for new trial, but I think everything is going to be filed tomorrow, his sentencing papers and any motion for new trial if there is one. But it's a sentencing on Thursday in LA that I'll cover, and I'm planning on doing a live on, so that'll be good. But I mean, everything's going to go on. It's like our coverage is so different that, like, even you, Wiley, I'm not sure if there's like another case that, I mean, ASAP Rocky, when that happens, but that might not happen for a long time. I'm trying to think of like another case that like your audience would be definitely interested in. And what I'd like to think that what happens is the audience gets interested in just legal issues in general, so they find another source of news about legal news, me. Not like I don't have any news about Ice Spice. I don't know what Ice Spice is doing, or I can't give updates on that. So hopefully people don't see it as any kind of like rivalry,
Because I even like the Cuniff Petty, that's a great, Nikki is suing a blogger, Nosy Ho. She's a black woman that went on an attack, said Nikki was on drugs. And so that's like a case. We'll see how that's going to go, if it goes to trial or not. The whole thing of Tasha K in bankruptcy court with Cardi B. So this is what the culture is known for. But what you're doing is expanding that, because it's an audience for trials. Like, people love to see folks that are fighting against the system or going against the system, whatever. It's good, juicy stuff. And now this Megan, now everybody's like, okay, Megan, cover this trial. They're going to want you to cover every trial that they can think of, because it's entertaining.
Well, and I saw somebody comment, they're like, well, we like stuff other than just gossip. Like, what do you mean your audience? Well, and exactly, that's my point. Like, the people who are watching you right now, some of them are going to be interested in legal news and want to hear about legal news from other cases not involving famous people. But it would be unfair to like expect you to have to start providing that, You've got the tea. You've got like a niche of the community that you focus on, and you've got your coverage area that you've like developed. So it's not like your job to have to fill the role of like the death of court reporting,
Absolutely not. I don't try to compete with that. I just do the best thing that Wiley do, and I put my Wiley spin on it, because you could cover something, I could find something else to cover it a different way. Just like the documentary, nobody else talked about the documentary. Why? Because they're over it. They're talking about Krishan having her baby, and her black man ain't there. He's a deadbeat dad, you know what I'm saying? And she had the baby, and they hope that the hospital room wasn't musty. So that's what they're covering today. That's what they're talking about today. The blog talk about today, because this world is very fast. Like, everything was storyline. This is an old storyline. Now they're talking about Blueface and Krishan. That whole dynamic, right?
Oh, all that drama. Because I mean, just from the last 8 months, that stuff comes up in my algorithm more. But
so it just moves. It's just like such a fast pace. Then Boosie and his daughter, and young Blue says he didn't sleep with the lady because she was stinky, fishy smell. So it's so many other. It's a lot of stuff. It's just like, you can't cover it all. You just find your sweet spot. Your sweet spot is covering trials. And the difference is putting it on video, because it's people that just like to watch you versus reading, because many people, because of their attention span, they don't read a one page, but they will sit down and watch you on camera. Yeah, they will love that, and they love to see it. So I would love to see that as well, because I like watching your show. And me, I prefer your reading, because your writing, because you put the court documents on there. Yeah. And so I like that, because if you're a commentator, and I'm not a hater, I would say, make sure you guys go to her website and go to legalaffairsandtrials.com, and you can get the information for yourself and subscribe. I'm different. A lot of my my colleagues like Armon, they don't like me giving you credit, but that's not right. Me reading off your site, but don't credit where I'm reading it from. Yeah. Like, you suppose, and he didn't go to college, he flunked. So that's plagiarism. You just can't read word for word. That's Megan Cuniff words but I'm not going to give you any credit. Like, that's not right. You can't even do that in college to write a paper and don't credit that source. You have to credit where you get it from. You know, but I'm different, but I will continue to credit you. And if I'm a slave, a house slave, picking cotton, whatever they want to say, I will pick the cotton. And I'm not going to stop unsubscribing for your website, because as long as you're providing the tea about Smokey Robinson or whomever that I'm interested in, I'm going to subscribe to it.
Okay, great. Hey, I've got a question. Just from audio standpoint, can you hear like a jack or like a drilling or something?
No, I don't hear a jack or a drilling. Okay.
It's the neighbor. It's the neighbor, and sometimes, I mean, it happens all the time, but I can never tell. I was like, can people actually hear it on
yeah, because I go outside sometimes and do live, and they be cutting
enough.
grass stuff. Though you're great. They love you, and they're gonna hate that you sat beside me, but they're gonna lay off on you and give me the smoke. But they know it doesn't bother me at all. Who cares about them? They was on HBO. Now, were you paid to do the HBO special? Did they give you a 6-figure check? Because they said you were paid the most.
No,
money.
I did ask for a stipend, just because it was kind of like a waste of a Saturday otherwise. But I mean, because it takes a long time to do those things.
Now, when you say a stipend, you're not getting any residuals from. You just got a one upfront fee.
It was just a $500 stipend to like cover,
a $500 stipend.
Expenses and
because like Milagro, Gramz, and Armon, they say you got 6-figure deal, that you got all of this money.
No. Of course not. That's something that you know, you got to like hustle to kind of get that stuff. I'm like, where's my TV show, guys? Right? Like, no. And I mean, I'm trying to explore possible book ideas, but it wouldn't be just about this one case. It's like about stan culture, that kind of thing. So, but you know, that's something, it's a lot of work. You got to write a proposal, you get an agent, you kind of shop it around, that kind of thing. And like I said, my number one goal and my number one plan over the next like 8-10 months is to stop working so much and like get back in conditioning shape to like hike Half Dome next summer, get in the lottery and get a Half Dome permit and do the Half Dome hike in Yosemite.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you, Megann Cuniff. I see a lot of people in here and they're looking forward to the book. I feel like you should write a book, because one of my good friends, he's a journalist, and his name is Ernest Owens, and he wrote a book about council culture. And whenever you do write a book, I hopefully you put it on Audible, because I love Audible as well. And of course, shout out to Roland Martin. He wrote a book about white fear, how the brown of America is making white folks lose their minds. And so, of course, I read the 1619 Project. So I love books, and I feel like you're needed, because they're going to throw a lot of money at you because you have an audience. Yeah, I'm definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the key is you have to get the proposal written first. But if you do get a good proposal and you have a good agent who has connections with, I think it's the big 5 publishers. There's like 5 big publishing companies that they go after. But yeah, you can get an advance. But the thing with an advance is you have to write a book. And usually there's some contract, like if you don't do it, you know, you can get in financial trouble, have to give it back. But there's a lot of things to consider. But it just makes it all the more important to be like 100% positive about your idea and like who you're working with on it. So it just kind of takes some time to like.
I agree. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. When the book drops, I'm going to be the first to buy it, because I love your perspective. And it's I don't always agree, but I think why not? Everybody else I've wrote a book. I mean, look at the OJ trial. There's multiple books, documentaries, shows was birthed off that trial. So why can't you write a book about it? Anybody else, Milagro, Armon could write a book, but they're not that intelligent to do so.
Yeah.
They're not that intelligent. So they're not going to do it. But you should do it, because they feel like it's boring writing papers. And Armon said, quote, who's going to sit there and watch and read that trash? It's garbage, too much.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm like, I really want my targeted audience to be people who read. And the YouTube audience is great, but I want YouTube to be basically me reading my stories online. Like, print journalism is always, you know, kind of my bread and butter, and you can do so much. I especially love the Substack format of being able to do screenshots of court documents and everything. It's just, you know, it takes a lot of time putting together those articles. So sometimes like this Megan Thee Stallion copyright case ruling in the Kenneth Petty case, I'm like, I'll just do a YouTube live. Like, I don't want to take the time to write articles on that just yet, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Wiley. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right. That was such an entertaining to get her on the show. I love to see that perspective. Megann Cuniff, I would say, is one of the leading voices of our time covering this trial. She will go down in history as being one of the leading voices of the trial. And she didn't get kicked out like Milagro Gramz. They got kicked out of the courtroom, Paul. I know you're laughing, Paul. They did get kicked out. So did Armon Wiggins. And so I just want to make sure for the record, she did reach out to us and we said, hey, you can come on the show. And you can't steal something that, don't belong to you. This is a public platform. And the reason why Armon Wiggins don't bring me on their channel, because they believe that I'm going to steal their audience. I mean, how many times have Tasha K went on my show and did her millions of followers come over here and follow us? No, they didn't. Did we get some people follow? Well, yeah, but we didn't get those big, gigantic numbers because you have to work for that. I haven't met somebody like an Oprah factor where Oprah can give you a shout out and then instantly I get to people. She have that type of influence because she have the history of that influence. So does Drake. If Drake were to come on the show, they have that influence. If Drake come on the show now, my show will instantly be put on as being one of the lit hip hop shows. If Oprah would announce Oprah Winfrey, say, I follow Wiley Show, instantly my life would change forever. Book deals and money. Beyonce can share a screenshot of our show, it would change. But I have not met a YouTuber that I went on their show and I just blew up over there. I haven't met her. Where they at? It wasn't Dasha. Neither was it Armon Wiggins, right? So we will continue to have these people on the show. And people were saying, Wiley got Megann Cuniff on. Yes, I got Megann Cuniff on. And she didn't like the type of questioning, but this is my show. I'm speaking to my audience. So I'm not going to get so big. I'm going to the surface. They want to know, are you a racist? And, she was kind of like, we'll see a part of that. Let y'all be the judge of that answer. But it was a lot of stuttering with that answer. And it was a lot of tiptoeing around the answer. When somebody gives you a yes or no answer and you tiptoe around it, it's something there. It's something there. Okay? It's something there. When somebody asks you very direct, are you a racist? And you tiptoe around it, that's not good, because directly, if they ask me why are you racist, no, I am not a racist. Like very verbatim to the point, and you get it to the point. And let's make it clear. Let's make it crystal clear. She reached out to us for an interview, for a conversation, and we said we will bring it up. Actually, my members knew about this before you all did because my members got the information first. So I love that she came on the show. I love that we were able to have a conversation. I don't apologize interviewing somebody that don't look like me. She will not be the first or the last. She was the first white woman we had on camera. She will not be the last white woman on camera. My stepmother is white. So my stepmother is white. She's a dentist. My father is educated, got a degree in criminal justice. They have a youth center, etc. So I know about people, and we will have this conversations. Okay. Now, with the whole thing with the eyeballs, or how you look, and when she defended how her eyes are, instantly I heard about 15 jokes in my head, but I was being professional. Because if you start defending about your eyes, that make people talk about it more. That's why I talk about it. And one thing about Wiley is because a lot of black YouTubers, Paul, I'm going to say it because I know you're in my ear. A lot of the the blacks, they are shaking about my presence. Let me remind you, when we was on Nick at Night, she's a pick me. And we was on her show. It was Armon Wiggins and Neek. Mind you, they all on camera talking, Neek camming, blah, blah, blah. I come up on there. This was Armon Wiggins. He was trying to dodge out the camera frame, and he was doing this. And he put me on, and he was doing this. He was hiding. And he finally was admitting, he said, I would never be on screen with you. I would never show the world that I'm on screen when we already got him when we was on screen together. But why are you so pressed about my presence. Why are you leaving out of the frame? Why are you leaving out of it? He couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand that Neek had me on the show. He couldn't stand that Neek had me on the show and we had a conversation. And he couldn't stand that people were taking up for Wiley. So why y'all coming against Wiley? He have a right about showing love to Black media. We will always credit Milagro because even when we insult each other, we know how to credit each other when we do something right. But when I talked about the guy that had the Popeye chicken, Saucy Santana, the young man that jumped from the building and hurt himself, broke some ribs. We had him on the show, the first YouTuber to do it. We had Roll around the show, and Milagro covered all three of those on her number one top 10 show. At that time, she had the number one show on station here. So but I'm not going to change me saying my joke. This is me. We talk about each other. This is what I do. This is what made you fall in love with me. And then she said, I reminded her of her slow brother. All right. So that's how that goes. And then she bought me a high, a bed that was built with bricks. And she had me with a futon. It was very bricks metal. And she had bought me that from Walmart. And so I don't care, but that's still not going to stop me from talking about her. I talk about people. This is what I do. This is a talk show. So this is how this goes. So you see, and then we also have the phone number if anybody want to call in. And I know at the end of the show, people call in. People call in at the end of the show. But we make sure and say, hey, do you want to call in? Do you have an opinion? 972-674-9460. We talked with Paul. I said, listen, we're not going to open up the phone lines for Megann Cuniff to allow people to ask questions or come on StreamYard. They're too nasty for that. They're not ready. And they're not going to be professional. They're going to be ratchet. It's going to be the Milagro grain haters are going to come and try to destroy this woman and say nasty stuff. So we're not going to allow any callers with Megann Cuniff come on because it's going to be disrespectful to her. And I'm not going to allow it. At all. And then, then she's going to say she was set up, and we're not going to allow that at all. We're going to have a very peaceful conversation, but we're not going to allow open up the phone lines or drop the link, and then y'all drag this woman for filth, and then she play victim and say how I was set up and then all that. Then you hear all these terms, those people set me up, etc. I'm not gonna give you that right because I know y'all gonna take it that far. And then she break down, she start crying, and then it's oh my gosh, it's gonna be too much. So that's why I said, hey, we're going to make sure we keep it on the screen because half of y'all not gonna call in anyway because I see new people in here. You only coming in just to cause chaos and confusion. We know the new people. It's about six, seven regular folks that comment. When we see regular people over here, I know it's not going to happen. And I can see the chat, and that's the power of being cockeyed. You can look right here at the camera and look right at the chat. You don't even know I'm reading all the comments verbatim. So I don't fall for the okie doke. I see a lot of people say we're going to give this a 1-star interview. Great. But as long as you're watching, that's 5 stars. And if you give it a 1-star, who gives a darn? Thank you for tuning in. Because I will continue to do videos and interview people. We are the only YouTuber that's talking about this documentary. It wasn't on television. It was on streaming. And she only got a $500 stipend. So all of that was just a bunch of share. It was a bunch of lies. Hello, you live on the Wiley Show.
Good afternoon, my brother. I think you did a great job.
Hold on 1 second, ma'am. Because I want to make sure they can hear you. I want to make sure that they can definitely hear you because I want to make sure that they can hear you. So give me 1 second because I know they be like having problems in there. I want to make sure that they can hear you as well. Okay. Now you can go ahead on. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. I think you did a great job on your interview asking the tough questions. I feel like when you asked her the question whether or not she was racist, I think she spoke. Who's gonna get on here and say, "Yeah, I'm racist"? I think the hesitation in her whether or not she was racist was due to her not knowing what to say. It's kind of sometimes when you ask someone a spot on a question like that, they need. I know what you're saying. She said it'd be yes or no, but I think being that no matter what she says in this space, someone is dragging her because she is looking at the comments, she was kind of taken aback. Yes, you and I can say without hesitation that we are not racist, but I think in the climate in which we live in, it doesn't matter what she was to say, somebody was going to still say something. I think that she didn't necessarily handle it in the best light, but she handled it in a way that she knew how. I think also she's probably, like she said, the way that she grew up, she's not used to African American culture. She's used to being in the library, in the law library, looking at books, reading articles, and social media can be a beast. So I think the interview went well. I think that I can tell by the ending of the interview that I feel like she gained, like she has a respect there now, because if you listen to her, she said, people were telling me never to do an interview with Wiley. Did you hear her what she said?
I did.
And because I was hoping you caught that. So the streets have been talking in her ear. You know what I'm saying? So she took that leap and was like, no, I'm going to do it. She reached out to you because this is Lala. So I know she reached out to you because we already discussed that. So that's just a little bit of tea that I was like, she was dropping tea when she didn't even know she was dropping tea. So I'm like, the streets is talking and you got them shook. And the fact that you did do the interview, you best believe AW is over there watching. And so it's going to be different to see how you're going to show up now in the algorithm, one, and two, what's going to happen next. Because now I feel like you formed that relationship with her. And I mean, like, it was some trolls in there talking, but they always be talking. But I think overall that it was a very, very good interview, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I love you.
And we had a conversation on members only, and I said this is good. This is really good because it shows that Wiley can talk to a person that don't look like him, and he can have a very intelligent conversation. And and that's the piece that I was looking at. And also, I am a supporter of her site. I pay for the monthly subscription because it helps my business because she posts in the court documents and everything. So I can just read and put my spin on it. So why would I get mad at that?
Well, the thing is, this is business.
Right.
And you just made a business partner. Some people were saying, make sure you get this. Is she going to give you credit? Wiley, you're very strategic in what you do, and you're good at what you do. So you know how to play the game. And just even if she was over here for clicks and views, you got your motive as well. So we just playing whatever. We playing each other to get what we need. So now next, who's to say you're not going to be on her? Now
Absolutely.
You can gain some her.
You never know. And then people were saying in the chat, they say it's not the hip hop crowd. No matter what that lady says, people find some fault. Yeah, because I think people are taking hip hop as being the black crowd, right? But we can look at the data and say most people that buy hip hop music are white folks.
Are white, yes.
They're the one that keeping the rappers fed. White folks.
Yeah.
The suburban kids from the suburbs, they are buying those records. They are going to those concerts. That keeps the lights on. So they're part of it anyway. But I understand y'all are taking it and just thinking that it's just black. Yeah, you think so, but who's really buying? When you look at that data sheet from the bid, you look at the who support what the demographic sheet, I can guarantee the main list is white people, white suburban kids that was buying that music.
So I say kudos to you, brother, and don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, play that game to the best of your ability.
Absolutely.
I love you.
And that's why when I got when she reached out to us, I said, hey, we're going to take this opportunity, we're going to handle it well, because if we belittled her, it can backfire. And so, but still we asked her the question that I knew that people want to know. The main question they want to know, is she a racist? That's the main question they wanted to know. That's the main question. They kept saying this lady is racist. I said she's the granddaughter of a slave master. But if you reach her genetics, that probably not so far off. But but
the thing is not the ones who admittedly tell you who they are. It's the ones who don't.
Who don't.
Those are the ones that you should be afraid of.
I love it. You're right.
But what if she would have said it? What if she would have said on the platform? Then what's next? Now what?
And people, I'm telling you, like, people are looking at this, and the thing about it is, this was a wake up call for Milagro and for Armon. This was like bad timing because Blueface and Krishan had a Blueface baby, and that just. And then also Armon not using his social media to talk about it because he's working on the internet and blah, blah, blah. But I knew I was going to talk about it. And it's sad for these black bloggers. They can't report on me because they don't want Wiley to get the clout. Now, it is true. If you keep talking about a person, that person will get an audience. But that don't mean you're going to lose your audience. I don't see that happening. Only when I can see that happening is when King of Reeds and the guy that he did a show with, and remember them, Adrian Expression did a show together, and they broke up. It hurt Adrian Expression's career. It hurt him bad. And when we had a conversation with King of Reeds about it, he was shocked that he lost the amount of views that he lost. But I still don't. He lost that, but that's different than if I go on Tasha K's show, I take her audience. I don't see that happening. That's close to impossible to happen. I don't have that much juice to do that. Now, would I have people, if I were to go on her show, we do a show together, that I get some support from her? Yes. From her audience, yes. Because it hits differently when Tasha K go on your show than versus when I go on her show. It hit different. Right. You on a platform. Like if I were to go on somebody's show, if I want to go on, what's the top white YouTuber or the top black YouTuber? Fucking Dineva. The Beast. I'm gonna go and see what this guy's about. He's great. I'm a great guy. So you'll pull some of that audience. But would I steal his audience? No, that's a stupid idea. But there's some black folks that believe that, and Armon planted that idea to some people. Like he told me, don't talk about Jason. He gonna take you. He trying to infiltrate our space. What space? We don't own this. But I'm not going to take his audience. Actually, I'm going to gain from it by talking about a more popular person that's more well-known than the other one. Go ahead, ma'am.
Pride, Wiley. That's going to be his downfall if he doesn't catch himself. Pride will be the downfall of him because there's enough opportunity out here for all of us to eat. And he could gain more. From collaborating with you than fighting against you. That
goes both. Yes, that's the truth. Like if that's a fact. Like even when he failed on Station, he failed. It would have been beneficial if me and him would have worked. He got his highest ratings when me and Tasha was beefing. He brought me on his highest ratings, up in the thousands. We worked together, more powerful together than separately. That goes, but you do have that crowd in the barrel mentality. I think it could only be one, and that's why female rap is suffering because it's been embedded to these female rappers from these powerful white folks that it can only be one successful female rapper, and that's stupid. It could be more, and that's why a lot of people, and then people think that in order for me to be successful, I must team up with Nicki. And that's not always the case. So it's so many false narratives because Cardi got successful and she didn't team up with Nicki. They didn't. Yeah. That wasn't Nicki co-sign. So she just nipped that in the bud. But it shifted when Nicki started to paint this picture that I'm so powerful, you must kiss my ring to be famous. Some folks did it and they suffered quarter. Ray did not reach a different point of her career. She all right, but she didn't get to no Ice Spice level. And even Ice Spice herself, we can't see if that really worked until she released an album and go on tour for her damn self. And we will see how much success and how much support she got. Or is it just that fake media hype? We will know about them ticket sales.
Yeah, that'll tell the truth.
Just like it's people that the media want to cancel, like Monique, when she did a tour, it's always sold out when she's on her comedy tour. So that's why you have to be careful with what you listen to on media. When you put a ticket sale, when you put tickets for sale, that's when you see what your true support is. I don't care if you hate me, if you still love me, if you buy my ticket and get in the hotel room, smelling good, looking good. So regardless of what you say, if I'm not funny or not, you still set your black ass in that seat.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You good, but kudos to you. I'm going to let somebody else call in.
Thank you. Love you. All right. Anybody else want to call in? The number is 972-674-9462. I believe that's the number. 972-674-9462. If anybody else want to call in, I like Nikki, but I'm not going to kiss anybody behind for real. And so after you do it, I see it. I see y'all in the chat. I see y'all in here. Love y'all. All right. We've been on here for 2 hours and 23 minutes. I told you this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit down, have these conversations, and this is just the beginning. I love that. This is just the beginning where we are having this situation. And you're allowed to call in. You know what I'm saying? If you want to call in, you're allowed to call in, and that's the number. But the thing is, I think people, they lack emotional intelligence. They think, oh, I got to cuss. Like, you know, on YouTube, you want your YouTube to make money, they can't cuss. It is what it is. Like, you cannot go blatantly with all the cuss word. Now, we're going to station here. You can cuss all day long. Whatever. But you got to be intelligent to say, oh, can you roast and gag a person without cussing? You know, some black folks don't have that type of intelligence. They can't do it. I can do it. I got people mad at me don't say an ounce of a cuss word. That's when you're skillful. When you can cuss and drag a person, when you don't have other cuss word, it still hit the same. Most black people can't do it. The ghetto ratchet can't do it. They can't do it at all. The ghetto ratchet, they can't do it. They can cuss because they don't know how to cooperate without cussing unless they go to a job. They know how to humble themselves out. So you do know not to be ignorant. When you're on that phone with a business person, you know not to do all that cussing. You know to talk professional. You know when to do it. So let's not act like you just cuss all the time. When you're in that food stamp office, you want them food stamps. You know to talk to Miss Karen professional. She's gonna snatch them stamps. So you know when not to cuss, and you know when to cuss. Like let's not act stupid here. Let's not dumb here. You know when you want to get that apartment, you know you want to have Pookie and Ray Ray live in that apartment, but you know you ain't gonna be in that. You know you ain't gonna be cussing in that apartment. You gonna really be yourself without saying a cuss word. So you know when to cuss and when not to cuss. My mother is a cusser, but she knows when she get on the phone with those people, with business folks, whatever. She's just a totally different person. When she off there, she cuss with everybody. So you know when to cuss and when you know not to cuss. All right, you already know when to do it. You know when not to do it. Okay, you know it. Just like Mrs. Wiley Fish, she know, and she lack emotional intelligence. When you fishy, that's what you do. You spew all that hot grease. When that hot grease get on the fish, she start cussing. That's what it does. All right. We want to thank everybody for coming in. I want to thank the great, the awesome Megann Cuniff. We also want to thank our colleagues, Milagro Gramz. We want to thank her so very much for being stuffed in that documentary. I'm going to hear it forever. We want to thank Tory Lanez for being in prison. And definitely doing that. We also want to thank the Double Mid Twins for doing all that type of stuff. And we also got to thank the queen of all of this, Tasha K, the liar, the one that's talking about my arm, the one that been $2 full million, the one that's liking everybody post that she ain't in the conversation. Armon just have surpassed her. That's the reason why Armon Wiggins and Tasha K would never be friends, because Armon have literally showed that I don't need you, Tasha K. You're still garbage and trash. And that's why secretly she going around liking Milagro Ground posts, but nobody picked it up to this day. They still dragging her, and Armon is just dominating. And then this is the thing that Armon Wiggins can definitely dominate. He done it without a lawsuit. He done it without being sued. He done it without going toe-to-toe with Cardi B and a $4 million defamation suit. He's not screaming broke in the bankruptcy court. He's paying about close to $6,000 a month for that apartment in the West Hollywood. $6,000 a month for just rent alone. Let's just talk about what he make on YouTube. $6,000 a month you pay for rent. That's $72,000. $72,000 a year you're paying in rent. So you know you gotta make 3 times the rent to afford them apartment. You gotta make at least a minimum of $18,000. So let's just say Armon Wiggins make more than $18,000 on YouTube. So in order to qualify for that new apartment with that big old patio, that's $6,000 a month in West Hollywood just to rent. You got to make 3 times that amount, and that's $18,000. So he make a minimum more than $18,000. The reason why Tasha K is mad at Armon Wiggins, because it came out she only made $10,000 on YouTube. So again, he made $8,000 more than that. Okay. All right. So we see all of that. So regardless of what it is, the brother is making more than $18,000 a month on YouTube. Okay. He make a minimum $25,000 to $30,000 a month, because if his rent alone is a year rent is $72,000, he making more than $72,000. He may make $150,000 a year on YouTube. I'm just judging by the rent. I'm not in his business, but he said on station before he failed. He already fell on station. His last show, I guess the failure of the show, the funeral of the show. He said I paid $6,000 for rent. 6,000 times 12 is 72,000, and we call the building. You have to make 3 times the amount of rent, and that is $72,000. All you calculate it all the way up, that's $72,000 a year. $6,000 per month for 12 months equals $72,000. That's just the rent alone, not utilities, not credit card bills, not the bills of his expensive Percocet, veneers, the dress, the clothes, the food bill, take care of his man, the dogs, having them getting your scoliosis fixed and everything else. So it's a lot of things that is going on. He paying a lot in rent. Now he don't own it and everything. He don't own no equity or nothing. He's renting and he's proud. He's renting. He's happy. I'm renting this beautiful apartment. It's a beautiful place because it wasn't hard for me to find a building. I just had to look at the records of a new building that was being built, and we found the record. We talked to the lady over there and see how much it is for the place. So I'm not bad at all or upset. I said, man, black man, get your money. I personally don't want to be paying $6,000 a month in rent. I can get a house, a 2-3 bedroom with a finished basement, and my mortgage won't even be for those $6,000 a month. Absolutely not. So again, I don't want to do that for no apartment. That's me. Armon Wiggins, he only dreamed of living in a sky-rise downtown flooded with homeless people and living with the community, the cunty paying $6,000. That's his dream. He dreamed about that. But my dream is to own my own property where I don't have to share with anybody in there. And he did say, quote, it was 6 people that live in that building, 6 people. And he said all the amenity. And then he said, if they drop the price down for the expensive townhouse, the expensive thing, he will pay that as well. He said it. I know y'all mad and upset. He have said it. And people are saying, oh, you're going to get a restraining order. Calling the building to inquire about me getting a place is not a restraining order. Stop trying to tell me about the law. You don't know what you're talking about. I ain't show up to the building. Didn't name the building at all. I did not name the building. No to that. He said it on his show, Hakaboba Davola. He said on his show that he live in West Hollywood and the building it have not been built. He said it on the show before it got canceled. Okay? It is what it is. Did you have any proof of me calling that building? No. You only can take my words, but you can't believe nothing I say because in the words of Mrs. Wiley Fish down the Ross Wig, I'm a liar. So don't take what I say as the truth. Either you're going to believe that I called the building or I'm a liar. If I'm a liar, then I did not call the building. Which one is it? Which one is it? Miss Donna Ross Fish Wig Donna Ross. She called in and said that you a liar. So which one is it? Did you see any proof that I called the building? Did you see any evidence that I called the building? Or is it something that I just said? But Wiley, how did you know he paid $6,000? Well, you go to that flop show that he did on Station Head, he said he paid $6,000. Well, how did you know he went to live in West Hollywood and the building was being built? If you go to his Station Head before it got canceled, he said, I'm waiting for the building to get built from the ground up. I want a different scenery with more money, living with the country. I want to be able to walk down the street with my man and with the dogs, hold his hand, dig in his butt, and I don't have to be flooded with homeless people. That's what he said. So again, y'all don't listen to the man Station, and that's why he failed on Station Head because you didn't go listen to it. So don't take my words for it because the words of Mrs. Wiley Fish, I'm a liar. Go listen to that show that got canceled. But that's the reason why he flopped over there, because y'all only view us on YouTube. You don't go to Station Head. We got 30 people. 30 people we failed on Station Head. 30 people. We got only 30 people on Station. 30 people that listen to me on Station. Most of mine is on YouTube. Like most of his audience is on YouTube. So when he went on YouTube, he get 280 listeners on Station Head. All right? I'm just saying. Okay? He don't do Station Head anymore because he couldn't reach the 500 viewer threshold, and the 500 viewer threshold, he couldn't do it. And then he kept trying to be like Nikki. Well, I want to eat on camera. You're not Nikki. You are a guy that like guys, and you cunty, and you full of mess. That's what the people want. They don't want to see you chewing on camera, eating a donut on camera, eating scrambled eggs, eating bacon, struggling over your words. You have not worked hard enough to do it. Nikki can do it because she's so powerful. She can sit up on there and burp and eat a bacon, chew ice, talking to her makeup artist and said, we going to get some chicken. Lying to her makeup artist, Tay, that did the pink Molly, said, we going to the club. Tay, get up. You know you ain't going to no club at all unless you getting paid $10 million. So that's what it is. So we talk about these people. You see me with that earpiece? I'm listening to somebody doing commentary right now. So this is what we do. And we bought this earpiece so we can listen to Paul, commentary, and I have a person. They go to different shows, put it in, connect us all on the three-way, and they got a whole system. I can listen to so many other shows. When I'm being dragged, I can hear it in real time in my ear. You can't hear. I can hear it in real time. So, again, and I'm saying this verbatim, this is why they all have to sit here and look at me. Oh, man, he got Megann Cuniff on the show. I'm glad she came on. She came on once he failed on Station Head. Usually, the old Armon Wiggins, he would put my name in the title on Station Head and Megann Cuniff. He would get 500, 600 views. But he can't do that anymore. Why? Because he said, I'm on television. I was fasting for 60 days and 60 nights, and I'm on television. Well, I want to say that again. You ain't on television because it was on the streaming site. I didn't watch that on television. The new television is your iPad and your iPhone, your laptop. You ain't watching on no cable subscription. Most people seeing that on their phone, and most of them don't even care because even Megann Cuniff said, I don't care nothing about it. It wasn't nothing new. They only gave me $500. And she white and gave her $500. They probably didn't give Armon Wiggins and Milagro a stipend because they was just so happy to boot, lick, and tap dance on television. Okay? I got to find that timestamp when she said I got a stipend because it was a waste of my time on a Saturday, and I got $500. Armon Wiggins and Milagro, they happy because they on television. Liar, you know, television on the iPad, iPhone, it's just YouTube, and they call it Max. This is a paid YouTube version, right? And they was mad because it wasn't trending on Twitter. They upset. You build something up that we don't care nothing about. We heard it all on YouTube. We heard it before. Okay? Could have did it for free. All right? And then they lied. We the only YouTubers on there. Right, Milagro? Fireworks. They laughing. They saw an HBO call and ring. But Brother Wiley is calling. You didn't get a dime for it. You didn't get a quarter. They say HBO calling. Yes, they call you for free. Y'all tap dancing. The only reason why y'all able to afford it is because of YouTube. It was poor, it was regular folks, not just poor, working class, black folks, working class, white, Latino folks worked hard to make you sit in that place. You didn't get that from HBO. They didn't pay you nothing, but they made millions. But yet you so happy because you HBO fish. Sit down. You didn't get a dime for being on HBO. You didn't get a dime for doing that show. They went to your house, drove up your light bill, drove up your gas bill, your water bill. And I know them big old producers sat on that toilet and you didn't get $1 for it. Right? You didn't get $1. You didn't get $1. And Megann Cuniff said, it's a waste of my time. Give me $500. They gave me a stipend, $500. They didn't even get that. They just happy for the clout. All right? So if they got that white woman, $500, what you think you get, black man? Zero. We just gonna give you some clout because you've been meditating fast for 60 days. We put you on television. Mm-hmm. That's how they get us. They get us with clout. Why do we like you for clout? But you just give it. I don't care what you saying, Vicky. I am obsessed with doing commentary, Vicky. And if you big, bold enough, come on here and you call in 972-674-9762, whatever the number is. Y'all give her the number, Vicky, so we can hear from Vicky's voice. If you say I'm obsessed, then I'm obsessed then. Let me keep on talking with my obsessed behind. You do anything for clout. You do anything for clout. They did it for clout for free. Zero. You didn't get nothing. All right? And you didn't even get the clout that you deserve because your followers didn't go up, your subscribers didn't go up, none of that. It did not change your life forever that you thought it was going to do. Milagro getting the same amount of views on station. Let me go to her station here. Give me 1 second, Paul. Go to her station here. Okay, go to her station, right? She still got 1,000 people on her station. It's less viewers today than it was on any other day. The same thing. And she got HBO in the title. 1,000 people. They don't care nothing about you HBO P word. They don't care nothing about it. 1,000 people. You got regular 1,000 people. You get more Dragon, Tasha, Wiley, and everybody else. We guarantee you put me on there. I'm not even HBO. I'm Wiley. I'm going to get my family networks together. All right? That's what it is. You only get 1,000 something, so it didn't change. Armon Wiggins really thought, let me see that he get 300,000 million followers on YouTube because this is on television, right? It's game changing, right? Let's go to it. All right. He still got 175,000 followers on YouTube. His Megann video got 11,000. His Armon Wiggins and Gia, that video he released 10 days ago, 21,000 flopped. His Armon Wiggins was on Angelique, 11,000 flopped. And so his Sukiyana, 100,000, still flopped because he didn't make nothing off of it. It was age restricted. He did a video with Erica Mena, 67,000. Trouble Barbara, 64,000. Cardi, 45,000. His pre-party, how they do that? They didn't do that none at all. They just stayed at home, and that got 10,000 flopped. And so this is what it is. It is what it is. And he can't talk about Wiley. Only thing he can talk about is subjectively not saying our name. He do stupid stuff like that. But we can definitely talk about it. And Mrs. Wiley Fish and all that, and the beard over there, he doing press conference and talking to how you could get women and still eat some and be on a down low and get your breadbasket wiped out at you know what I'm saying? Let's keep it all the way clear at the bathhouse. Get it all white and soaky at the bathhouse. And guess what? We still talking about that HBO stuff. We still doing it. Okay? You ain't got no reach outside of YouTube. You still on YouTube. You still on YouTube. You're going to get the biggest clout on YouTube. You're known as a YouTuber. And be happy with it. Okay? Mm-hmm. We the only one that's talking about it. And we going to continue to talk about it. And we have Megann Cuniff. We have one of the top stars in the documentary on our show. Top stars. And she dragged it. Did we learn something new? Half the people's on there was voice actors. She called Tasha K a voice actor. Yes, she did. Then she wasn't even in the documentary. She just sounded good. Half of people weren't even there. They wasn't there because they only did it to sell that documentary. To sell it. That's what they did. And she dragged it. And she said it was a waste of my Saturday and they paid me a $500 stipend. Yes, she did. Okay. So that's what it was. I know a lot of people upset and mad at Wiley. Y'all always been upset and mad at Wiley. You know, they look at their commentary, but like Wiley said, they'll say what was more important. Yeah, so that's what it said. We talk about a subject, and that's what we do. We talk about a subject and we have these conversations. I said that Tasha K is the only big in this sector, so I'm not surprised. Right. They don't have this big reach as they think. They try. There is no YouTuber that have reach outside of YouTube yet. I haven't met them in this sector. I'm talking about this sector. Don't mention people that's not in this sector. Y'all will be mentioning Funny Marco. They're not in this sector. You know the sector that I'm talking about. I'm talking about myself, Storm, Sean, Lovely T, you know, Armon, Nick at Night, daytime, tea time. I'm talking about them. We still working. Nobody have gotten a reality show like the top reality show. You making millions. You got a daytime television. You on this hot budget movie making millions. Even T.S. Madison, she's still a YouTuber because she have flopped. She trying flop. She's still in that basement. I'm talking about you done with YouTube. Like Issa Rae, you done with YouTube. You don't do YouTube no more. You got the big money. Still to this day, they still in the basement with their mama cooking chicken. So again, we said it was Scorpion Show. They was almost there, but they stole their spot. They ain't pay them. And so they still at the call center at the hospital changing bedpans. So again, nobody as of yet, that spot is still open. Who out of this sector is going to have that mainstream success? What do you mean mainstream? I'm talking about a successful book on the New York Times. I'm talking about a daytime, because that's what they're looking at. Daytime television show. I'm talking about your own socks, your own teddy bear line, your own sock line, bra line, making millions out of this sector. Nobody have not done it yet. All right? Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I understand y'all going to name one out of this sector, out of this T sector now. It haven't happened yet. Tasha have tried. She have failed. So it's people that's trying. Armon thought he had it with the cartoon. That failed. Was on YouTube. He lied and said, I don't know what network it's going to be. It ain't going to be on Disney. It ain't going to be on Cartoon Network. It was on YouTube. But he tried to sell it up. Oh, it's going to be on television. It wasn't on television. It was streaming. Baby, on Max. They even took it away from HBO. They don't even call it HBO no more. They used to call it HBO Max. They just call it Max. That's it. Okay? That's it. It didn't go viral. It didn't go nothing like that. We are more concerned about Krishan and the musty smell in that in that hospital room. That's it. Okay? Even that Wild 'N Out episode with Tasha K didn't even air yet, if it ever aired. That's it. That's it. That lady had a whole birth, and I know it was musty in that room. People praying, smell like fish, and they got 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 views on it. That's the news. That's what we at right now. And then they dropped the documentary. They literally dropped the documentary out there, and it went ghost. Crickets. Nobody talked about it but Brother Wiley, because we talk about people regardless. And we still going to talk about Krishan and all of them. We still going to talk about them. But that ain't the subject right now. We talking about Megann Cuniff, this documentary that we broke down for 3 hours. Why? Because this our show. We can talk about what we want to talk about. All right? I already know that little baby. And I hope, I hope it ain't no crack baby. I hope not. All right. So that's what we talking about. That's what we talking about. And y'all don't call it because y'all not that interested. Y'all was that more interested in Megann Cuniff. Y'all ain't in that documentary because y'all don't care about them like that. Nope. It would get more higher views if they was in there cussing, belittling black women like they do on YouTube. Y'all ain't with this professional look. You're not watching. Half of y'all didn't even go see it. Who watched that documentary and paid the subscription to watch it on Max? Or did you watch the bootleg version? Who did you watch it? Press 1 if you watched it. And show me the receipt that you watch. Press 1 that you subscribe and you watch it, or you went by hearsay. Press 1 if you watch it in your home, or press 2 you heard about it by hearsay. Press 1 you watched it. Press 2. And one person said, "What documentary?" You know they ain't watch it because they ain't even spell documentary about it. They said, "What document?" All right. Press 1 you watch. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. Press 1 you watch it. Press 1 you watch. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. Press 1 you watched it. Press 1 you watched it. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. Press 1 you watched it. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. They say, I have no clue. I have what's interested. Who still watch HBO? Press 1 you watch it. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. Press 1 you watched it. Press 2 you heard about hearsay. Press 1 you watched it. Press 2 you watched about hearsay. Press 1 you watched it. Press 2 you watched about hearsay. I have it on my save list on HBO. You didn't watch it. Press 1 you watched it. Press 2 you heard it on hearsay. Okay, press 1 you watch it, press 2 you watch it on hearsay. Press 1 you watch it, press 2 you heard on hearsay. Press 1 you watch it, press 2 you heard on hearsay. Press 1 you watched it, press 2 you heard on hearsay. Press 1 you watched it, press 2 you heard on hearsay. Press 1 you watched it, press 2. And if you didn't watch it, I don't care if you saved it. I'm talking about, did you watch it when it first dropped? If you wasn't that interested, you watched it while you're more interested than why? Than HBO Max. Just say what it said. Y'all gonna put it up. Well, you know I played it on my little save list, on my little playlist. I just saved it a little bit. I'm gonna watch it later on. You watched the Wiley Show first before you watched that documentary with her being stuffed, and you're gonna be watching when she was stuffed in part 2, and you're gonna be watching Armon Wiggins in that line all the back of his forehead on the crown of his head. It is what it is. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm saying. They said I didn't even want a free trial on HBO Max. The only reason why I watched it because I said I'm doing a free trial. I went to Hulu, did an add-on plus. They said free trial for 7 days. So for 7 days, I can watch my favorite son with that line leaning back. Beautiful turtleneck, teeth white, look like he smelled like brown sugar. And seeing Milagro Gramz stuff look like she ate about 55 pounds of crab legs. Okay, I'm not watching it. They can keep and Armon Wiggins on problem. He gonna get that spray and get that hair thing because he love to get work done to his body. It is what he gonna get a new line and he gonna get that spray just like a Tory Lanez pappy and daddy. All right, and you even Nick at night didn't even talk about because she ain't gonna get dragged. You know you wasn't even hardly in there, Nick, because they gonna feel like she gonna be throwing out shot with her. So she stopped covering. Nick somewhere over there dancing on her baby daddy and wondering why he left her for a white woman. All right. Or talking to her gangbanger family members over there, gang robbing folks over there planning their next robbery. That's probably what she's doing. All right. I'm just saying about that, all that type of stuff. Or using her daughter for clicks and views, low views. Using her daughter for get some clicks and views. She's trying to turn that to a family channel. That's what it is. Her daughter can't hardly read the screen. What she talking about? Her daughter up there. She's doing that for sympathy and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about her daughter because if her mama crying aside, her daughter probably gonna be crying a t-shirt. So we don't want to keep. We just gonna keep it on. We're gonna move on from it and all that. And then she goes say, "I heard you was talking about it. You brought your little daughter up on there, do all that reading and stuff like that. Do all that clicks and views. You gonna get bad. So you know I'm slow and stupid, so I can say what I want to say. So I already know. Okay, I said I only had Max because it was free when I signed up AT&T, and otherwise I would yes. Okay, because I know y'all gonna go on here and see the night owls gonna go over there and send us to the night owl. They said, I said, yeah, I bought her some pajamas. It's good. I bought her some pajamas. Ooh, Lord. All right. Okay, hello, y'all. How y'all doing? Is y'all doing a good job? I see y'all in the chat. I see y'all was in the chat. Not left. Okay, they said Wiley stop. Hey, y'all. Okay, thank y'all so very much. I told y'all we was going to have a conversation with y'all and we was going to show love because we love you guys. And we want to thank you all so very much. Okay? I want to think they said Wiley just said what I was thinking about her turning into a family channel. Yeah, she want to do a family channel because she see the money. She going to use her daughter to get her some clicks and views and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what she going to do it. Okay? Okay? All right. All right. Let me see. Wiley just saying that I was thinking about. Yes. All right. Love y'all. Little black boy, you beautiful. Little black girl, you enough. I'm gonna go because I'm hungry. I'm about to eat me some barbecue. It's the holiday. I'm gonna do my other show tomorrow. I'm about to pass over my family. We eating the big old ribs, and I'm gonna have a good time. I gotta eat some ribs. Okay? Can I eat some ribs? Can I eat me a rib? Can I eat me a rib? Can I eat me a rib? Can I do that? Can I eat a rib right quick? I'm going to eat me a rib. Mind y'all making the ribs? Okay, let me see. I don't think they're making the ribs yet. Oh, yeah, I smell the rib. All right, y'all. Peace.